and welcome to another episode of MakersPlace X Whale. We are super excited to be here today, joined by Amar Singh, who is representing the Rewind Collective and the upcoming drop Pixelated Heroes. And this is a really exciting conversation for us today because Pixelated Heroes is really I think super meaningful and impactful in this space. It is, advocating for underserved communities and really underrepresented, I think is maybe a better way to put this. Minorities, women, LGBTQ, these spaces that you're not generally seeing represented as much, or the art being represented from as much. So this is something that I think is going to be really exciting for us to talk about. And having Amar here, having the background in art and being able to share, from the gallery perspective as well.
Exactly.
So let me maybe give the floor to Amar to tell us. First off, welcome. Thank you for joining. But tell us a little bit of how you got here. Like, what was your inspiration
Yes.
and what led you
Well,
here?
as some of you might know, I have a background in art rights. I have started a gallery some years ago, Amara Singh Gallery, and we focus on championing historically overlooked important female artists, minorities, LGBT, and I showcased several years ago Rewind Collective, the digital artists, and thus began this journey. I've worked with a number of LGBT groups and minorities and female artists, including the Guerrilla Girls. Um, I will be hopefully doing a project with Pussy Riot. So some of the great feminist groups of our time, of our century, really. And how did this come about? Well, I come from a long line of women's rights activists. My grandmother fought for women's education alongside Mahatma Gandhi. My ancestor, um, Amrit Kaur, is considered to this day India's greatest feminist and was the first health minister of India, and set up the first women's education fund. So I kind of have a long history of being involved and having a family being involved in these such initiatives. So yes, it's great.
And that is, when I was looking into your background before this stream, I was just like absolutely blown away with the fact that you really, as you said, come from this long line of, people who are working to help promote women. And,
Yeah,
and that is amazing to have that as your foundation and your background, because that's something that is very sorely needed in the world. And
true, very
so
true.
how exciting indeed. And maybe to get us started on the work that you're doing, you mentioned that you're involved in art and had a gallery. And
Yes.
how did that lead you into the world of Web3 and NFTs?
Well, the gallery had exhibited some digital pieces by Rewind Collective, and actually some other um, digital artists who some years ago were experimenting with algorithms, with going back to 2016 here, 2017, where most people in the entire world didn't know what an NFT was. And then a couple of years ago, I get some phone calls from partners in the art world, Christie's, Sotheby's, the traditional art houses, and they remembered that I had exhibited some digital art. And so what happened is I began curating a digital sale paired with physical works and Rewind Collective at Christie's, the largest auction house in the world, and that debuted in May exactly 2021. But the planning had started, at the beginning of the year, so about 2 years ago now, and soon after that, again in partnership with Rewind Collective, we conceived and co-created the first NFT for LVMH, so the largest luxury goods company in the world. And why was that important? Because all of the proceeds from that release, and we partnered with them again this year, went to LGBT rights. So 100% of the proceeds went to LGBT rights. And between last year and this year, nearly $250,000 has been donated to the Magjan LGBT Foundation in Paris. And why that's important is I requested an impact report, and really that donation has enabled the LGBT Foundation to grow in size, go into a bigger center, reach more LGBT youth. So it's been transformative. So essentially, what I built is a Web3 NFT studio to support artists like Rewind Collective and brands like LVMH to create compelling projects with impact. So much like a film studio, which curates, creates, produces projects, that's what Amar Studio, which is kind of paired with my gallery, does. And we do it with great partners like MakersPlace, who provide a phenomenal platform and distribution for these incredible life-changing projects. So yeah.
Wow, and that is amazing. And we actually have the article up that's referencing
Yes.
that, Christie's auction, which I think is really amazing because being able to highlight both the physical and the digital in a way that, was completely unheard of, even 5 years ago. Like, this is not something that we had seen. Digital art was just, really getting started, and being able to display them side by side is something that, as we've seen throughout, the last couple of years, is really taking off and giving opportunities to people who maybe traditionally had not been displayed in these gallery type settings.
Exactly, exactly. And the the thing which is important to note about Pixelated Heroes, because we have such a interesting community. The thing which is important to note at this stage is, we've heard a lot of noise. Unfortunately, certain things have happened with companies, in the Bahamas. But let's focus on the good, like the good work MakersPlace is doing, the good work Rewind is doing, the good work Pixelated is doing. Already, Pixelated Heroes has given thousands of dollars to women's rights organizations from the pre-releases. Vital Voices, the women's empowerment organization founded by Hillary Clinton when she was first lady. It's a non-political organization, so it's not aligned to any political party. It's literally geared towards helping women elevate in positions of power. They received already thousands of dollars from the Pixelated Heroes release. Other kind of major impact initiatives have been members of the community. Every single member of the Pixelated community, I think, so far has been airdropped um, uh, Pixelated Heroes from the artist's personal collection. One of the members was even awarded an original World of Women NFT. So when you
Wow.
look at exactly, members of the community were invited to the MakersPlace event at Art Basel Miami, so IRL benefits. So when you look at already the what has been initiated and activated with Rewind, Pixelated, and MakersPlace, it really is something of impact.
And that definitely is. And to be able to have that real world impact where you're helping humans, you know, in their physical space, but also giving these extra experiential kind of benefits is really amazing. And that's something that having the ability to unlock that kind of potential within a collection with, with art, which, I'd like to point out, for people who are watching the stream, like the Pixelated Heroes are, you know, not traditional art, in that, we're looking at them and yes, they're pixelated and they're really, I think, a nod to the digital world that we're in, but with, the women and the females and, kind of these non-traditional sort of character portrayals that
Exactly.
is really exciting.
Exactly. And there's more to come. There's going to be merchandise giveaways, more events and parties as we go into 2023. There's going to be additional airdrops and benefits, and not just airdrops of Rewind's work, but other artists' work, such as Wow Galaxy. So the benefits with, I think, Pixelated Heroes, and above all, the charitable element, more money going to charity and publishing of the results. I think this is where it really is quite a compelling initiative and project, and that's why it's something that I'm behind, and something that MakersPlace are behind.
Well, and I like that you're saying, not only is there, the charitable contributions, but the publishing of the results. And that's really important, especially, as you'd mentioned, in kind of the current climate where a lot of times, people are investing and they're not actually sure where the money is going. So being able to see, the impact that's being made, being able to see the, the contributions, that where things are going, and having direct impact for these type of activist groups. And it looks like there's, a couple different types of contributions that we are supporting when we're supporting this project, correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, and there are a few other groups, and we encourage also the community to vote on some of those groups. And so, as we no doubt will see existing members of the community probably acquiring a few more, we encourage new members because we want to know about other organizations that can benefit, and these don't have to just be global organizations. It's important to learn about local organizations, and local organizations that help women, local organizations that help LGBT communities. That's very important too.
Perfect. And definitely, as, we do the drop, because what I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but when Pixelated Heroes first launched, there were only 555 of them, but the whole
Exactly.
collection is 5,550. So
Exactly.
there's going to be, an exponentially larger impact simply because of the number of new pixelated heroes that will be available, and people that will be able to join the community and contribute to these causes, and be able to, as we're scrolling down a little, we can see, not only contribute to this, but also be able to, involve themselves and engage with the product.
Exactly, and the market um, for Ethereum, etc., is a little down. So really, these are at quite a good price, especially for anybody like myself who believes that will Ethereum and other important digital currencies, will they rise? Yes. Are there benefits with this project, both charitable and personal to the holders? Yes. So this is where it's quite compelling, because already a lot of good work has been done with this. So it is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm very eager to see more of the communities that are going to benefit from this.
Well, and something that I think is really interesting too is not only, as you mentioned, are there the charitable contributions, and there are, the individual benefits, but this third point here, like licensing. So pixelated hero holders are granted full IP rights over their heroes. So you can actually take this
Yeah.
and create, really anything that you could think of to really benefit yourself, and kind of, grow a brand around, grow a business around, like promote the causes in a way that works for you, and really take ownership in a way that previously wasn't possible with art.
No, exactly, and whilst we will be as a group giving away merchandise, community members should know that they can create their own merchandise, they can create their own brands, they can create their own digital assets with their assets. So one of the things that people are doing with CryptoPunks now and World of Women is they're creating from the um, tokens they hold, they're creating digital masks with the IP of the one they own. And so I think, creating digital masks of pixelated heroes, and using that as a Snapchat filter or whatever filter, TikTok, which is unique to you because you own the IP of that. That's engaging, because now, it's transforming from this 2D digital art to 3D digital art, and the message still remains true about uplifting communities. What is the underlying message here? What is the importance? It is to promote women in Web3, minorities in Web3, LGBT in Web3. This is the underlying thread, and the real impact that can result in it. It's important to note that at Art Basel Miami, where there was a huge Web3 presence, the Pixelated Heroes were exhibited at the art fair at Scope Miami, right on the beach with MakersPlace. They also featured at a big event, a party at the SLS Hotel, where some of the holders were invited. So it shows you how can this virtual celebration of women be taken further. Well, hey, Miami is just one city and one event. Now imagine that in NFT NYC, NFT Berlin, NFT Singapore. I know NFT Singapore want to do something with Pixelated Heroes because they've reached out. So when you look at that, the possibilities are endless as long as the mission to help the underrepresented is at the forefront.
And that is amazing. And, taking it a step further, right? Like you're going to these events and you're, promoting the pixelated hero and thus promoting, the women and the underrepresented, and having that kind of a platform simply because of, the project is huge. So for people who, are maybe part of these groups, and they can go and they can say, like, not only, do I see people like myself, but I see that I belong, and that's really been super important because
Exactly.
growing up, I would say as a female, like it was for a lot of my childhood, there were a lot of things that I'm like, oh, well, I'm interested in this, but I don't see anybody like myself
No.
doing these things. So how could I possibly do that? So being able to not only feel invited, but like feel like you belong, and seeing these representations, whether it's, women or minorities or the LGBT community, like that is
Exactly.
huge. Like not just having a place there, but feeling like you're wanted.
Yes, exactly.
So how exciting is that? And so I'm just scrolling through, and we have so many different, this is great because even though they're pixelated, you can see lots of different, colors and hairstyles. And I
Yeah,
like this one. It's
love that.
very pink. So we're matching, but there's so many different ways that, you can see yourself in these. And I'm really excited to see as we, do this drop next week, how many different pixelated heroes are going to come out, because, the ones that are available so far are very limited, in the
They
scope
are.
of what is to come.
Exactly. And remember, each one is different. And so I think the power here is related to the impact, the utilities, and really the overarching story. I know on your blog and podcast you highlight these types of initiatives quite a lot, and this is where, especially in moments of turbulence, such as what happened to the company we all know in the Bahamas. Here's the thing: it's often patriarchal systems that are leading those questionable enterprises. And this is why, if you look at the work we do, Rewind does, Vital Voices does, it is about putting women in positions of power. It is about putting minorities in positions of power. And of course, there's a space for all people. It's nothing against, being a privileged kind of white male in a developed country. There's nothing against that profile, But why is it that less than 4% of venture capital funding still goes to women? Why is it that Fortune 500 companies, less than 10% of the leaders are women? These are the problems that are our shared reality as we move into 2023. That's pretty worrying and disturbing. And this is where we need to work on addressing the imbalances in terms of gender, in terms of minority, and LGBT rights. Because as you know, I'm also leading the Supreme Court case in India to abolish LGBT conversion therapy. And so that to me, on a humanitarian level, is probably the most important case I'm working on. And Rewind Collective have been a huge help in that case, and they've championed it. So have the Guerrilla Girls. I'm speaking with Pussy Riot, the Great Pussy Riot, who were jailed for 2 years. I'm speaking with them on Monday. And so, it's all of us activists uniting to champion this. And in India and other countries, only 5 or 6 countries have abolished LGBT conversion therapy. And in countries like India, the LGBT community members, they're getting tortured. The children are being tortured. They're going through electroshock therapy. My friend Garrett Conley, uh, he wrote a book called Boy Erased, and it was made into a movie starring Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe. And it was an autobiography about how he in America, only 15 so years ago, went through conversion therapy, and how conversion therapy, even in the United States, and over half of the states, it still affects millions of Americans. And so, if you look at how developed America is and how far we've come, and you look at the Marriage Equality Act that we celebrated yesterday again in the United States, if you look at all that, we need to go further, and people's lives can change, and great projects like Pixelated Heroes really do help that. And I'm hoping next year we will win the Supreme Court case to abolish LGBT conversion therapy in India. And it is in part to projects like Pixelated Heroes, artists like Rewind Collective, Pussy Riot, because it takes allyship, it takes a universal unification of activists, but also just allies. You don't have to be on the front lines. People might not have the resources, the means, the time, but they can still be well wishers and maybe use their platform, even if they have 10 followers, to promote positivity. And that's what you do when Pixelated Heroes becomes a profile picture. That's what you do when Pixelated Heroes goes on your Instagram or Twitter grid. So, that's the power of what we're doing here, and what you're also doing, Candy. So I salute you for that.
That's really important, I think, for people to realize that no matter how small you think your voice is, it has power in being able to, speak out and share that and carry the message a little bit further will have an impact. And it's a very significant ripple impact, right? Because you can say something and then people, within your little circle will see it. And,
Exactly.
once you get that conversation rolling, like it picks up steam, and that's really how change happens. It's not always the huge things that are happening, it's all of that little ripple that has the staying power.
Exactly.
So that's super exciting. We're getting a round of applause in the Discord. So the community is definitely hearing the message and supportive of this, which is exciting because these are, conversations that need to be had and need to be continuing to stay at the forefront, of people's conscious. So that way it's not something that gets, pushed aside or forgotten. And as you said, having things like Pixelated Heroes, as your profile, or, on your Twitter feed, just seeing that message continually is really important. So with this, we have, it's next Wednesday, right, the 14th, that this drop is happening, and we'll see more Pixelated Heroes becoming available for the community
Exactly.
to join.
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect. And that is, as you said, part of the Rewind Collective, which has done other projects as well, promoting, women and minorities, and, creating other works of art that are, definitely feminine focused.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of content that can be, shared and consumed, and interacted with in order to further the vision and, the message here.
Exactly. Exactly.
How exciting. And so for this, the drop next week, I know I got an email actually from MakersPlace that was noting the upcoming drops, and this is one of them that was in there. But is there anything that you would recommend for people who are wanting to get involved, with the community beyond just purchasing the artwork? How would they go about doing that? What are
Well, get ready for the drop on Wednesday, but please follow Rewind Collective on Discord. It's Discord/Rewind Collective. They're on Instagram and Twitter as well, Rewind Collective. And we'll be doing a number of shared partnerships with MakersPlace over the next few days, giveaways, invites, everything. And, it is about celebrating the community as well. We want to hear from you.
perfect? Let's see, and I do have the Instagram up here, which has the link
Yes,
to Discord as well. So
yeah, they're currently on view at the NFT Gallery, a major gallery in London. They Rewind Collective has a solo exhibition, and the Pixelated Heroes are on view, and hundreds of people across London have been to this exhibition. Possibly thousands actually, because the exhibition opened over 2 weeks ago now, but there were certainly hundreds at the opening. And this is a great physical location in Mayfair, right in the bang in the middle of London. And you go there, you can see some of the Pixelated Heroes on view and some of the rest of Rewind Collector's work.
amazing. Amazing. And these are fun too. We were looking at it actually before we went live, but some of the other Rewind Collective pieces, there we go.
Historical
The
figures.
historical
Yes.
figures.
Historical figures, exactly, which
Which,
is a great celebration, and that always sells out instantly. So yeah.
so, it's really exciting because that's a lot of times you hear about history, and it's a lot of, male figures that are being talked about in the history books and the stories that are being shared. And so seeing collections like this where you've, specifically called out, very strong historical figures, like this is
Both
amazing.
mythical and real, and
Yes.
you know why this is important? I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The work that is done is not always easy to digest. 10% of the proceeds from this release went to Set the Expectation, which is an amazing charity in America, which educates men in regards to gender-based violence. And it was founded by this remarkable lady called Brenda. And Brenda, the founder of the Brenda Walters, the founder of the charity, unfortunately, she was, and this happens to so many women, she was sexually assaulted, and she was sexually assaulted in a group setting, quite violently, extremely violently. And she has dedicated her life. She has overcome this tragedy. She's an incredibly brave woman, and she's overcome this tragedy, and dedicated her life to educating men how to treat women around the world, and particularly those in sports, because it was a sports setting where Brenda was violated. And if you look at that, there was just a best-selling film on Netflix starring Mila Kunis, which was it's literally based on a true story. It's a movie on Netflix. It's based on a true story. The author of the book, again, was sexually assaulted in a group setting. This happens to far more people than you'd think. And this is where, these projects really do change lives. So yeah.
That is super important because, again, it's a matter of bringing awareness and having that conversation and changing the narrative around topics. Because a lot of times, especially historically, there are a lot of things that have been explained away or justified, or, as you mentioned, the group setting. It's something that, oh, well, it didn't seem that bad. And there were other people there and nobody said something, so it seemed fine.
Exactly.
And that is such a common thing. So that is why changing that narrative is so important, because it reduces the number of instances where people will simply sit by and think it's okay because they're, suddenly hearing other opinions or other viewpoints that, aren't just, the standard justifications anymore.
Yeah, Brenda Tracy is the name of the founder, a remarkable woman who is a survivor. And if you go on to settheexpectation.org, you can find out more about that charity. So, that's the kind of thing that these projects help. But imagine looking at that and knowing that 10% of the proceeds from this have gone there. So that's really powerful. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And 54,000 people served, and we need to do more. We need to do more for these incredible women and communities. And the film which I was referring to, because it is an important film to watch, um, is called Luckiest Girl Alive, and it was a New York Times bestseller. And it is literally related to what Brenda Tracy went through. So this is the thing, when you look at all the organizations that have been helped by the groups I work with and the things I'm doing. We're talking about LGBT. We're talking about Set the Expectation. We're talking about Vital Voices. It's so far-reaching, but just spending $80, $90, whatever the Ethereum price is next Wednesday, on a Pixelated Heroes, and knowing that not only are you getting airdrops and access to events and raffles to be in, get merchandise, so you can get you realistically you're getting far more than that one token. But again, you are helping members of communities who need it, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing that matters.
That is absolutely an amazing message and an amazing mission. And huge respect to you for promoting this, for being able to push this narrative forward and get that ball rolling where people are able to, maybe they didn't know how to start, but now they have a starting point. Now they have a way to get involved and really join that conversation and push forward in a way that they're not alone. And that is really a lot of times one of the biggest barriers is that I'd like to say something but I don't know how. Well, now there's space to do it. There's a space to take that step and make that contribution and really engage. And maybe that's part of that snowball effect where you start little and then you keep going, and that's really exciting to open those doors.
Exactly.
That is, I think actually I'm going to sidetrack the conversation slightly, because I had mentioned before we started that there's a POAP, and I know our listeners are always really excited about that. And this is a great place to put our secret phrase for the POAP, which is pixel power.
Love that.
Yeah, so, we're actually using the pixels to, kind of give people that power. So pixel power, all one word, lowercase, PIXELPOWER. You can use in your POAP app. You open it up, hit mint and secret word, and you'll put it in there. So that is what we have for the POAP. And we've got our chat is on that. So now that we were done sidetracking with the POAP, which is really exciting, and super relevant to this conversation, being able to commemorate that. And that's another thing that you can have that POAP, you can share it, and you can link to the conversation that we've had today. So that's yet another way to share the message, and participate in that conversation.
Amazing.
How exciting. Well, I know that we are getting close to the end of the scheduled time, and you are a very busy man, but is there anything else that we should be discussing or preparing for?
Well, check on
This.
MakersPlace. Check on MakersPlace, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Art Patron, ARTPATRON. I post a lot of women's rights and LGBT rights content. Um, a lot of my work is highlighted there. So, if you want to get involved, help with the Supreme Court case in India, in America, anywhere really, we can do great things together. So, yeah, you'll see a lot of art. If you like art, if you like LGBT, women's rights, minority rights, please do give me a follow. And yeah, we can do some great things together, I hope.
Perfect. Well, I have given you a follow. I've also linked it for the chat so that way they can follow as well. And we will keep an eye out, for sure for this drop, which is happening next Wednesday, with Pixelated Heroes, but also with the Rewind Collective as a whole, because as we've discussed, like all of the things that are, going on in this space and these conversations, and we've got a lot of, different pages that I'm just scrolling through real quick to show people, what is available
Yeah,
in terms of, having these galleries. And this is the gallery that you had mentioned earlier today, the Amar Gallery. So having these artists featured and giving the conversation a platform to be
exactly.
held on is so important.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, thank you very
Thank
much, Mark, for
you.
joining us today and for sharing, this mission and these projects with us because, as we've discussed, it can't be understated the importance of having the conversations in the first place and finding ways to be involved and, kind of give power to the people who need it the most.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to the release on Wednesday. I'll be getting some.
I will also be doing some. I'm very excited about this for sure. And, hearing the message behind it, like it's for me a no-brainer, like something that I will absolutely be supporting. So thank you very much. And thank you to MakersPlace for,
Thank you
again,
to MakersPlace.
coordinating.
Thank you to Jessica. Jessica's a remarkable female leader at MakersPlace, who she's God knows where she is hiding. She's always giving the platform to other people. That's why we love her. But she was really brought this and pioneered and led this um, release. So as we move to Wednesday, I want to take the opportunity to thank her and thank the other great people at MakersPlace. So wonderful.
Absolutely. And Jessica is an amazing leader in this space. And she's backstage currently. I don't know if she wanted to join us on stage. I don't just want to pull her up um, and surprise her. But maybe
Yeah,
we'll do that. And if she would like to share anything, uh, we'll let her do that.
Jessica.
Wonderful.
Jessica,
Can you guys hear me?
we can.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciated the comments just then and the call out. But I'm so thrilled to be working with the Rewind Collective on this phenomenal project. MakersPlace is very keen on supporting initiatives like this one that have an impact that goes above and beyond just the art itself, which we're all here for the art. But when you have a leader and a visionary and an activist like Amar taking charge and elevating these projects to this next level with real, meaningful, impactful change, and giving very important voices to those who need it, as you just mentioned. It's just wonderful, and we're thrilled to release it to the public after a very successful pre-sale that sold out almost right away. And now we look forward to opening the doors and allowing lots of others from all over the world to participate in this wonderful project.
How exciting. And that's something that I love, like having the ability to engage with marketplaces and organizations like MakersPlace who are really helping to move these forward, because it is, even though we're here for the art, it is more than just the art, because art really is never just art, right? There's always more to it. And so this is absolutely amazing to have such a supportive platform for such amazing projects.
Absolutely. And if you go on to the MakersPlace site now, a bit later today, actually, the landing page will be live. But We have a very extended and informative blog up with information about all of the different projects from this group, and people can have a preview of what's to come. This will be a blind box release, so there's this element of excitement and surprise as well. So when you purchase your hero, and I purchased quite a few from the pre-sale, I was lucky enough to get in early. I'll be buying more on Wednesday, but it's really delightful to, after you make your purchase, see these phenomenal pixelated heroes show up in your inbox. They look beautiful when displayed together, and each one is unique. And yeah, so it's not only going to be rewarding, and it's also going to be fun.
Amazing. So we will definitely set our calendars for next Wednesday. Keep an eye on the website later today for that landing page to be live. And I don't know if there's anything else. We've covered so much today, but it's so amazing. And we have so many excited people in the audience here sharing their support for the message and the art that has been shared today.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jessica, again. Thank you, Candy. And I look forward to keeping in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you both as well, Amar and
Thanks,
Jessica,
Candy,
for joining today and sharing with the community. We look forward to supporting this project as it, rolls out and continues to develop, and everything else that the Rewind Collective is doing, because that's something that I think is definitely, something to keep an eye on for the community and be able to contribute to. So we will definitely be following along, and we've shared the socials in the Discord so people can follow along as well. And we will be in touch. Thank you, Whale members, as well, for joining us today.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next time.
Take care.